Easter Seals wants to help people with disabilities live, learn, work, and play in our communities, but it's especially important to get an early start, and that's where a new initiative comes into play.
It's called Make the First Five Count, and joining us today to talk about the initiative is Pam Reuther, Vice President of Programs with Easter Seals Delaware and Maryland's Eastern Shore. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We talked about the mission. Tell us, how does Easter Seals carry out that mission?
Well, Easter Seals has been on Delaware, Maryland's Eastern Shore for the last 64 years, and our goal is to meet the community need. So we have programs for adults, programs for children, we have recreational programs at Camp Fairley Manor. So we try and meet children and adults where they need to be with physical disabilities, what they want to do, what they're interested in.
So it's really, really important to identify the needs as early as possible.
Absolutely.
And that's what the new initiative is all about.
Absolutely. The new initiative is Make the First Five Count, and it stands for making the first 5 years of a child's life count. It is the time in their life when they are learning and growing and developing at such a high rate of speed, and it is where the foundation and the building blocks for their success later on will come into play. So yeah.
when you're a parent, you often get a lot, your child's really young and maybe your child isn't talking like the other children are talking. People are like, oh, go ahead, that's fine, he'll catch up, so on and so forth. But you've actually made it easier to detect whether your child is maybe at a disadvantage. Tell us about that. Right.
One of the things that we try to do with Make the First Five Count is to empower families to really know where their child is developmentally, because if they know where they are, then they know when there's a concern or not. And we do frequently say to families, it's okay, boys talk late or girls aren't as rambunctious and all of those things, but the reality is we really need to know where a child is in order to make a decision about early identification and then early treatment so that they can have great success.
To get a good start. Now you've developed an online test to help figure things out.
Correct. If you go to the website, makethefirst5count.org, there's actually a link to a program, a test called the Ages and Stages Questionnaire. And the Ages and Stages Questionnaire allows a family member, a parent, to put in the child's date of birth and to answer questions specific to that child's age group. And then a few weeks later, they'll get a letter that says, yes, your child's on target. Your child has a couple of questions we're not sure about, come back in 3 months and try this again, or there's some red flags we think you need to follow up with your doctor for.
And we have that test on DelmarvaLife.com. Can you tell us a little bit about the questions specifically? What kind of questions would you answer on there?
It's a short test. It's about 10 to 20 questions, and they vary depending on the child's age. It includes questions about physical ability. Is a child walking, running, crawling, depending on their age? It asks questions about communication. It asks questions about relationships. So it looks at all domains of a child's growth, not just limited to any one particular area, which is so important and critical for early diagnosis of autism, or early diagnosis of a developmental delay.
Yeah. Now, I know you just told me this, but tell me again, explain to me specifically what happens after the test is taken.
Okay, so after the parent inputs the information, answers the questions, they get a letter 2 weeks later. And it may be an email or maybe a real letter, depending on how they took the test, and it tells them what exactly to do next. Do they go to the parent? Do they go see their physician? Maybe they don't do anything. Maybe the child's doing great, and it says, wait 6 months and take the questionnaire again and see where your child is. It's for children from ages 1 month to 5 years.
What if you don't have the internet? Some parents don't.
There is a phone number that you can call, and that phone number will get you a hard copy of the test mailed to you, which you then return, and then you get the follow-up information the same way.
And there's the number on your screen, 855-432-5872. Right?
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And that information, of course, is on DelmarvaLife.com as well. Wow. So do you feel challenged by this every day you go in?
I love it. I have the best job in the world. I get to see children grow and change. Easter Seals has programs all throughout Delaware and on the Eastern Shore for children's therapy services, and we see just such great success. But we know that there are more kids out there that could be helped and could get to that point where then they get to school, they're ready to go.
And you're ready to help.
Yeah,
Pam
absolutely.
Reuther, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
That's so wonderful. And of course, if you want more information on Easter Seals, or if you'd like to take the Ages and Stages questionnaire, go to DelmarvaLife.com and click on the Show tab.